Lots of us grew up hearing the phrase, offer it up. Sometimes this phrase was shared as a meaningful spiritual practice, but sometimes it was used in a way that felt, quite honestly, dismissive. Maybe somebody said, offer it up, when what you really needed was compassion. Maybe you needed somebody to sit beside you and listen to you and help you solve a problem, or acknowledge that what you were experiencing was genuinely difficult. Instead, the message seemed to be, stop complaining, ignore how you feel, don't burden anyone else, just be quiet and endure it. That is not what offering our suffering to God is supposed to mean. Offering our suffering does not mean pretending it doesn't hurt or refusing help. It doesn't mean avoiding grief or avoiding problem solving or getting medical care that we need or emotional support that we need. It doesn't mean avoiding implementing boundaries with those who have hurt us or who take too much from us. It doesn't mean that we avoid resting or creating necessary change in our lives. It doesn't even mean that God is asking you to remain passive in situations where you are called to act. Offering something to God begins with honestly acknowledging what we are offering, so we can only intentionally give God pain that we take the time to acknowledge and name. The practice might begin with a prayer as simple as, Jesus, this hurts. Lord, I am exhausted. I am afraid. I feel lonely. I'm angry that this is happening. I don't want to carry this today. That honest naming isn't the opposite of offering our pain to God. It's the beginning of it. To offer our suffering means that when we encounter pain, we can't immediately remove, we intentionally unite it with the suffering and love of Jesus. We bring it into relationship with him. Instead of suffering completely alone, we say, Jesus, you know what it's like to hurt. You know what it's like to feel abandoned and misunderstood and physically exhausted and overwhelmed with sorrow. I bring this pain into your suffering. Please remain with me inside it. We can also offer that pain as a prayer of love for somebody else. For example, Lord, I offer this difficult night for my child's future growth in virtue. I say that one all the time. Or, Lord, I offer this physical pain for a friend who is struggling. Or I offer this loneliness I'm feeling for somebody who feels forgotten by everyone. Or I offer this moment of restraint for healing in my family. Or I offer this uncertainty for somebody who feels afraid for their life. We're not trying to use our suffering to earn God's love. And we're definitely not trying to manipulate him into answering a prayer. It means that suffering, which can otherwise feel incredibly isolating and sometimes meaningless, becomes now connected to love. It becomes something that we intentionally bring to God instead of something that merely happens to us. That's what Jesus did for us on the cross, and we can follow his example in our own lives. The suffering may remain painful in our life, but our relationship to it begins to change. Instead of saying, this pain is accomplishing absolutely nothing, we can say, I don't know what God will do with this, and I'm choosing to place it in his hands. This practice can be especially helpful with the small, repetitive offerings of ordinary life. It's easy to imagine offering up dramatic suffering, but much of our daily pain is pretty mundane. It's the child waking up again. It's the physical fatigue that makes every task harder. It's having to repeat yourself. I don't know about you, but I especially dislike that one. It's the conversation that didn't go the way that you hoped. It's the ache of missing someone you love. It's making the loving choice when you would rather withdraw. It's continuing to show up faithfully when you feel unappreciated. And it's waiting for an answer that has not come. It's accepting that today, your body or mind cannot accomplish everything you wanted it to accomplish. These moments might appear small from the outside, but God sees the cost of love within them. I also want to emphasize that this practice shouldn't become one more thing that you criticize yourself for forgetting to do. Every difficult moment doesn't need a perfectly formed prayer. And you're not failing spiritually because you reacted first and then remembered God later. That's just how our brains work sometimes. Sometimes you might realize hours afterward, I could have brought that to the Lord. You can still bring it to him then, right then when you remember. Our brains like to go into all or nothing mode and think, ugh, I already messed up. What's the point of trying to go to him now? What? He always wants to talk to us. There's no such thing as too late or already failed. What's the point? How can there not be fruits from meeting him in prayer? Talk to him as a regular conversation that you would have with friends or a loved one. But if a conversation with him feels too hard right now, that's okay too. One way to make this practice simple is to choose a short prayer that you can return to. So you might pray something like, Jesus, I unite this with you and your cross. Lord, take this pain. Jesus, use this for love. Or I offer this for blank, a specific intention you might have. Or Lord, do not let this be wasted. Or simply, Jesus, I trust you. You can also connect the offering to your breath. As you inhale, acknowledge what you're feeling. Inhale, this feels painful. And as you exhale, release it into God's care. I give this to you, Lord. Look up some breath prayers. But for now, you can stick with a simple breathe in, this is painful. Breathe out, I give this to you, Lord. So this week's practice, you're just going to choose one recurring difficulty that you're likely to encounter this week. Choose one specific moment. It might be the moment you wake up exhausted. It might be the moment that you feel frustration during a certain daily task. It could be when you feel a certain recurring physical symptom. It could be a painful interaction that seems to be happening regularly in your life. It could be a period of waiting or a moment of loneliness at the end of the day. Decide ahead of time how you want to bring that moment to God. Complete this sentence. When I experience blank, the thing that you just acknowledged is probably going to happen at least a few times this week, I will pause and pray blank. Maybe it's, this is painful. Lord, I give this to you. Or Jesus, I trust in you. Or Jesus, use this for love. Or I offer this for specific intention. You could choose a person or intention for whom you want to offer that pain. And then when the moment arrives, simply acknowledge the pain and invite Jesus into it. You might say something like, Jesus, this is harder than I wish it was. I bring it to you, though. Please receive it as an act of love and stay with me while I carry it. Really help me feel your presence in all of this. Offering our suffering does not change our circumstances, but it does remind us that even here, amidst it all, we are still capable of love. We can remain connected to God through it all, and our pain itself can become prayer.